Hey guys, it's Justin once again. Part two of my review on the second volume, Brian Wilson Songwriter 1969 to 1982. My library copy here. Um, anyway, uh, I've been talking about Sunflower. I've been talking about 2020, and actually, I was just listening to some 2020. I was listening to the re-release that was from the 70s. This was a twofer that had Wild Honey. Um, There's a Wild Honey right there. And that was very Mike Love of me. And then 2020 on the reverse. So it was a twofer originally. So I was just listening to 2020. Such a mixed bag of goodies. Just such a great album. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that. And last time we were together, discussing Sunflower. From the uh, from the documentary itself. Um, let's see here. Moving on, uh, they were talking about a lot of things that I would like to discuss are the things that are discussed in this documentary that aren't, um, given a lot of credit in other documentaries such as Endless Harmony and whatnot, just because of time and whatnot. So anyway, they give there's something interesting about Day in the Life of the Tree. There, one of the people was, I don't know if it was Stephen Desper. They were talking about, he was just saying how, he had Jack Riley in there doing vocals or lead vocals and Van Dyke Parks, and yes, it was Stephen Desper. Now that I remember, and they were, he said maybe he just wanted to produce other people and not the boys or himself. So, I thought that was really interesting. And he mentioned the maid singing Spanish on A Day in the Life of a Tree. Brian's maid, I assume. Anybody know about the Spanish on Day in the Life of a Tree? Tell me about it. Mentioning doing Spring, the Marilyn and Diane's group. Um, it was really neat how they talked about Brian as the third person in the he's the third person of vocals in the band. I really like that. And they mentioned using old tracks so it wouldn't be that expensive. So using Good Time from Landlocked, Lady, which is Flowers comes in the spring. Um, but they did mention David Sandler was in there talking about Sweet Mountain and It's Like Heaven was played. Um, so that's pretty cool. Love hearing that kind of stuff. Dominic Priori mentions that Brian really was only involved with 4 songs. It was like a collaborative effort. Uh, he mentioned Sweet Mountain and Tennessee Waltz. Um, and Move On and Here She Comes plays from the So Tough album. And they start talking about Blondie and Ricky. Um, how them plus the Beach Boys was the closest the Beach Boys were to becoming a California rock band when they were together. So I thought that was pretty unique. Um, Take some further looks at the back there of the DVDs. Moving on, they show performance of You Need a Mess of Help to Stand Alone. It's the one I've seen on YouTube many times, um, with Daryl Dragon playing piano in the background. And what else? Peter James Carlin mentions the So Tough backing picture. The back of the picture of the album was the creative, quote unquote, copying and pasting of Brian from that picture, putting him in with the rest of the band. So it was like creatively putting him in with the band when he actually wasn't there, which was kind of odd. Um, they go on to talk about Randy Newman's Sail Away, how it inspired Brian, how he was just he was a piano composer, Randy Newman was, and that really inspired Brian. Um, it also had his friends involved, Brian's, as to why he was, you know, interested in this album. Uh, Russ Titleman, Van Dyke Parks, and Lenny Warnaker, they were all, working on it. And Brian, they talked about Brian relating to Randy's World from Sail Away. So it influenced the Mount Vernon Fairway, which is mentioned, and the theme is played. They compared it to Michael Jackson being with Netherlands stuff, you know. They said it was an eccentric work from an eccentric guy. It's not commercial at all. Um, and then they were talking about Holland being better than So Tough, possibly, as a Beach Boys record, and being very non-Brian Wilson-y. I do like the analogy they talked about Sail on Sailor being a new birth. It's Till I Die was Brian's last song about how he was feeling, and Sail on Sailor was kind of a rebirth from that. And they say Blondie always sung lead on that, but then Brian, one of the interviewees mentions that Brian reclaimed Sail on Sailor on his Smile tour, which was kind of cool. I like that they mentioned that. And then they go on and talk about, let's see, they talk about Endless Summer, of course, and Blondie and Ricky later quitting the band. Then Earl Mankey, I believe that's how you pronounce it, starts mentioning that Carl and Dennis are doing different songs and trying to get something creative going, which, of course, starts talking about 15 big ones. So we'll continue that in part 3. Hope you stick around and watch more discussion. I would love to talk about this with anybody. Anybody want to comment or message me? Talk about your opinions or feelings on the documentary. So anyway, I will check in with you in a later date, a couple days from now. So hope you enjoyed part 2. We'll see you with part 3 with 15 big ones and love you. Beach Boys love you.